Transatlantic Flight just kind of warms my soul. Something special about that song. I just instantly cheer up every time I hear it. And thank you for writing it and playing it.
Oh, thanks so much. That's a nice way to start it off.
Yeah. I first learned about you and your music when I saw Angie McMahon's video for If You Call. And I'm so happy that I got to see that because I really love your music as well now.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, she's so special. I met her because she and her band were a fan of my record, and they invited me to Australia to play with them. So it was and I've been thinking how I'd love to play in Australia for years. And so that was pretty wonderful. And then I fell in love with her music and her voice. And she's such a beautiful person too. That was one of my favorite recordings.
Oh, cool.
Sessions. Yeah, when we did that. It's really fun.
It's funny, when I first started listening to you, I thought maybe you were Australian too. Then I found out you're from Canada.
Yeah, well, what the heck was I doing there? We were in Perth when we recorded that on the western side of Australia, like really far from home. Yeah.
So you're like a globetrotter. You really get to see the whole world. I'm jealous.
Yeah, I was like traveling as a kid, and I was like playing music, and I realized that's really lucky. Except in the last 2 years, it was a bit of a not the case, but playing music and traveling kind of went hand in hand. And I don't like traveling without music, because then I don't know if it's an ego thing, but if I go somewhere, I don't like being a tourist. You don't get treated the same, and you don't get seen the same way. And if you're playing a show, it's almost like you're a local for a day. Everybody wants to
That's an interesting way to put it. Never thought of that.
It's kind of, I guess it's the kind of thing, same thing if you're working somewhere. Like people are like, oh, you're not. It's almost like if you travel as a tourist, there's nothing wrong with it. But the fact is that people sometimes feel like you're trying to steal their clothes. You're trying to gaze into their society without giving back. Right. If you're working, you're there. The tourist side is like an after effect. So people tend to be more open, more interested in engaging with you if you're working, which is kind of, yeah. So, and then when you're a musician, people often want to like see what you're up to. So it's a great way to meet people and just, I don't know. It's real selfish, but I just love the two together. Whenever I travel without playing music, I'm always a little bit like, I should have brought a guitar.
I love that perspective. I believe that letting yourself be vulnerable is often the key to a great artist. And you've noted that your album Twin Solitudes was more about self-reflection, and then In New Ways was more about engaging, changing, touching, and being touched. And anything you would ever want to tell anyone, you could put it into that record. Do you find it easier to open up through song than in just a one-on-one conversation?
One-on-one is okay. Two and more is not ideal. And then interviews are actually kind of funny. I was just thinking about that. It's like a one-on-one conversation that's meant to be eavesdropped upon. And I'm like, what kind of a strange society that we have? It's like, what does it mean? Like, we're like, would I say the same thing if I were just speaking with you, like one-on-one, and it wasn't an interview? I don't know.
If just meeting on the street somewhere and starting a conversation would be totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, anyhow, I feel like that's like some sort of philosophical. But I was like, what is the difference? What is it? What is it? Disingenuous? Is it real? I love interviews. Other people's interviews, anyways. It's like a conversation with a focus in a way, I guess. I don't know. But no, I don't know. I think sometimes when a label, they ask me for like press releases, or they ask me to say something about the record, I try to say something to sum it up, and I'm like, that's it. And then, of course, a week later, I'm like, oh God, is that? No, it's not that at all. But the record is, I guess that's what all the songs are. They're just like, you can just express yourself without limit, really. And then, I just kept on trying to yeah, I don't. It's funny. I'm like, yeah, that sounds true what I said, but I don't know because I'm not trying to tell a secret or anything. I'm just, yeah.
And it
It's a
also
strange thing.
reflects just a small part of your life too at the current moment, and your life is evolving too, so it's going to change probably.
Yeah, and I saw an interview with Lou Reed a little while ago, an old one, and he said, and it's funny when something that I think is true is said from someone that I really respect and like completely unrelated, and it really struck me as true. He said, he only figures out what songs are about 2 or 3 years after playing them live, and I thought it was just me. I thought it was just like I thought I had this strange like kind of dumb like relationship with my own songs where I didn't know what they meant until I played them in front of people. But then it's to think that Lou Reed was talking about Satellite of Love. He was just like, oh, it took me about 3 years to know that this song was about isolation and jealousy. And I was like, oh, but and it's the same thing. Like you play a song and then, well, the kinds of songs that I like are often not written with intention before the pen hits the page. Like usually they're written a bit more with a bit more lack. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like if you before you set out, you go, I'm going to write a song about like gardening, and it's going to actually like end with this scene where this happens. Well, I don't really write songs like that, and if someone does, you can kind of see it because it's very linear, or the clarity, it's so clear. And I think there's a lot of songs written like that are good, but the ones I like are the ones where you write them and then kind of you go, oh, what the heck is that? Oh, that first line is actually from here, or is from somewhere else. And yeah, sorry, just someone's coming on to the class right now. Yeah, so yeah, I kind of lost the train of thought, but that's how it goes.
Do you also kind of like to leave it a little bit open to the interpreter for the listener to interpret?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that it kind of just ends up that way. And I don't want to say good, but the ones that I like are the ones that end up that way. And I've read like Hemingway said that too. He's like his favorite sentences are ones that he mean one thing when he writes them, and when he rereads them, they mean something entirely differently. And it's like this. It's just so satisfying to nothing. Yeah, I don't know. It's really strange talking about it because it's like, oh yeah, like the openness is proof of fertility of the lyrics, And so, and you stumble upon it, or you don't stumble upon it, or yeah. The more I talk about it, the less I know what I think.
I think I'm going to ponder on that a little bit more. When you first started playing music, did you want to emulate to be like another artist, or have you been just going with the flow, carving your own path?
Oh, I really, really like Bob Dylan. And I mean, at first, not so much. I was just playing around. But then when I discovered, I was into the Beatles and stuff. But then when I started listening to Blood on the Tracks, I was like, oh, lyrics. And I used to write a lot of chords, a lot of different sounds, a lot of different instruments, and like strange like key changes and things like that. That was my main focus. And I thought lyrics were very peripheral, and I considered them like sonic tools, and so I kind of didn't care about meaning or pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I like got into Blood on the Tracks, and I kind of explored this entire catalog, and I'd never, it's kind of what people in the '60s kind of experienced, I guess, but that there's just an entirely different palette in the lyrics. So I kind of switched I changed gears really hard, and then I just stopped caring about sound and chords, and most songs ended up being like 2 chords, 3 chords, and then all the color, I tried to derive it from the lyrics. And now I think I've swung back to like a more balanced approach. But I made a record called North Americana, and I consciously tried to make the record sound brittle
Hmm.
And so it was really strange, but I didn't want it. I wanted it to only work if people liked the lyrics. It was a bit struggly 20-year-old self, kind of like, I don't know, trying to prove something. But I still think the lyrics, a lot of those songs are good, but sonically, I don't think it was a weird experiment. And then the next record, I feel like I came back. I mean, a record that sounded a little bit more full sonically, you know.
Whatever you're doing, it's working. So just don't change it.
Thank you.
Your songs I think, are really smooth and soothing and ethereal. And you even have a song called "Into the Ether." Are you trying to hypnotize us?
Actually, after, again, it's like one of those things where after I record, I start like pondering on what it is and like what I made, and like, oh, but I was kind of interested in like songs that were mesmerizing, and before I made that record, actually that's a bit of forethought, but before I made that record, I made this playlist for myself to listen to. It was called Long Songs, and if the song's at least 5 or 6 minutes, I put on the playlist that I liked, so like Madame George by Van Morrison on Astral Weeks, and Ballerina from the same record, or like a lot of Sigur songs, and or like any long Bob Dylan song like Mississippi. And I was just trying to expand I just want to get a broader feel for a song, because those songs feel very present and very in the moment for a very long time. You kind of lose your sense of time. There's something about that I just love. It's other than like a 2-minute pop song by the Supremes, like that's the next thing that I like. So I think, yeah. And also when I'm writing, if I enter a space that is kind of like that, more like, if I'm writing something, I'll just like be at the piano, I'll just pump the same chord for 45 minutes. That's when the lyrics come often. And so it kind of becomes, that's how they come out later too. But I think it's nice. I like that.
Yeah,
I find it, I don't really like, I have a couple short songs and I don't like how that, I don't like it. I don't like, they start and then they're over. It almost feels like there's no time to explore the song and get into it. So I kind of, the longer the song, the more satisfying it is to play, basically.
I was gonna say, I think one of the reasons why I really love Transatlantic Flight is it's very mesmerizing and kind of puts me in this zone where I can just relax and close my eyelids and feel the sun coming through my eyelids.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Yeah, that one I wrote it after coming back from France, and I was very. It's funny, when I'm the most tired, I usually, when I'm on tour, you're like, oh, shit, I'm not writing songs. I should be writing songs, because I'm always doing the opposite of what I think I should be doing. and then I get home and like I wrote that song, and I think about it like just the day that I got back, kind of tired, and and it was very soothing to do that. I'm just thinking about it now. I'm like, shit, maybe I'll write a song again when I get back from tour. I could really use another song. But it's just kind of it was soothing to play it too. Very quiet.
Yeah, and with the strings in that, just makes it perfect.
Yeah, the strings were. I always wanted strings on it, and I was like, okay, well, I've kind of produced everything, so I was like, how do I arrange the strings? And then I decided to put them like, I'll just record it and I'll see where the strings go after. And then the idea was to like fade it out, and I'd figure out how to do the strings, and then I ended up just like writing this string part so the song never fades out. It just kind of peters out for like 7 minutes. And I was like, I guess I can do that.
You recently released a collection of live recordings from 2019 to 2021 on the new album, New Waves. Do you look on those live recordings as special moments that you wanted to share with everybody?
Yeah, it's funny. Like it was like, especially pre, we're trying to get it out as soon as possible. Like last year, it was just like I had almost had 100 shows that got canceled, and we like revisited like, I just thought we'd be playing forever, and so I was like, oh, we'll record ourselves when we get good. And then over the pandemic, I listened back to some stuff, and I thought, my God, like it was a lot better than I remembered, and kind of nostalgic in a way, like kind of the songs recorded right before, like kind of about a month or two before the pandemic hit. So it was like, there was like a kind of ignorant bliss to the way we were playing. Yeah. And I just kind of wanted to have a document of what the song sounded like. Yeah, it's funny. Like every day I have a different opinion about it, but it was just nice just to have that energy, and also just to know that I have a benchmark, to know that I could do better than, because now I'm like, oh, I could play better than that now.
You've collaborated with Ainsley Willis and Angie McMahon. Who would you like to work with next? Alison Russell or Anais Mitchell?
Oh man, those are two.
Somebody beginning with an A.
Yeah, exactly. So no, they're so great, beautiful voices. Whatever makes sense is always the right thing. Whatever like comes up, those artists are all fantastic. I kind of just get so worked up, like working on my own thing, that I just kind of, I just work with whoever asks me, but most people don't ask me.
You should.
Yeah, I guess it's the thing. People don't. They're like, oh, he's doing his own thing, but it's so fun. Yeah, we'll see.
Looking forward to seeing more collaborations too.
Okay, well, definitely. I'll try to poke them.
No pressure, no.
Yeah, thanks.
Would you like to play a quick game?
Sure.
It's called Lyrical Ponderings. I give you the title of a song that is in the form of a question. You can either tell me who sang the song, or you can answer the question.
Okay, great.
Does that make sense? Sometimes,
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So pick a number between 1 and 200.
Is that? Oh, that's not the question.
No.
3.
3. Okay. Have you ever been in love?
I don't know that one. It's a great question.
I'm not sure if he might be Canadian. I don't know.
What song is it? Who sang that?
Have you ever been in love by Leo Sayer?
I don't know. Damn, I don't know anything after like 1993, basically.
Yeah. So you'll have to answer the question. Have you been?
Oh yeah. Obviously, I don't know.
Leif, thank you so much. You're going to be performing in Holyoke on April 8th at Race Street Live. And I imagine people are eagerly waiting for you to come by and perform.
We can only hope.
Well, great wishes to you, and stay safe. And thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.